Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Illustration Department podcast. My name is Giuseppe Castellano. In this podcast, I talk to folks in illustration, graphic design, publishing, animation, and other creative fields about their work, the lessons they've learned, and the bumps and bruises they've experienced along the way. In this episode, my guest is illustrator, artist, and educator, London Ladd. We all carry a weight, some heavier than others. As London and I prove, when the weight makes it hard to keep going, you hang in there and you keep going. Among the topics, London explains why he thinks style is a four-letter word. He shares what and who helped him stay on his feet. And we talk about how there's more than one way to keep going, creatively speaking. I hope you enjoy our conversation. I have been thinking about mistakes recently. No real particular reason, just, that's how my brain works. I've certainly made my fair share, but the question I've been asking myself of late is, what is a mistake when it comes to creativity? Really? Here's how I see it, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I sort of see it like you're driving. You know where you're going, so you don't really need GPS or anything. You know generally the direction you're going. You've been there a million times. You accidentally take a wrong turn. You're not paying attention. You go left instead of right. Is it a mistake? I say not really. You just weren't paying attention. It's not that it's wrong. It's just that you're not going in the direction that you would normally go. Big deal. Make a U-turn, correct your path, or hell, just go down the road you are going down and sort of veer back toward where you were supposed to go. You may even discover a new road or something pretty, or who knows, right? You'll get there when you get there. That's how I'm seeing it right now when it comes to creativity, illustration, drawing, painting. What are your thoughts?
Well, I will say the way my career has been for just about 20 years, the first 10 years, mistakes were very dreadful in the sense that I felt like I needed to be perfect in the sense of getting the work done in a way that really translates the text, because most of the stuff I did during my first 10 years was more picture book oriented. Right. Where it got me is in a place of just constant fear and hesitation and doubt about who I am and what I'm capable of as a creator, as an illustrator, or somebody on this art life journey. Right. But I think over, especially the past 5 years, I view mistakes now as I'm excited about it, because now I get to figure out and see what I can really push my creativity in a way that it really allows this sense of this organic nature of letting things happen and seeing what the results will be. Right. Having that sense of freedom to say this, I'll figure it out. And my visual language and my experience, I feel more confident at this stage in my life. And I guess that comes with so many ups and downs in my career, because I've been doing this so long, and my career spans literally 3 decades. I think for me, it really, those mistakes, now that I view them, that's where I really feel like my true self is amplified in the work that I do. Right. And I tell that to my students. I say, you're being afraid. You're being fearful. Just go for it. You had this great idea and you veered from it to this conservative approach. And you don't know what you're capable of unless you try. And I think that's one thing that I love about mistakes. Yep. I'm not so hard on myself as much as I used to be, because I really think the language that I have and my approach to solving problems and the visual outcome are built by those mistakes. And they're not mistakes to me. They are just the steps, the foundational elements of my language.
Yeah. Here's the reason why I'm bringing this up. I talk to illustrators a lot. I also teach illustration, not through Syracuse University, but through, the illustration department. And this comes up a ton. Am I making the right choices? Am I going the right direction? Will anyone like this? Is maybe the most common reason why illustrators that I talk to feel like they're making a lot of mistakes, because they don't know if the publishing professionals that they're trying to attract are going to like what they're doing. Like, we're both in agreement that I think making quote unquote mistakes, experimenting, evolving, pushing, these are all good things to do as a creative person. Do you feel now, after 20 some years, after 3 decades, that you feel it's easier to do that now in your career than it would have been in the beginning?
Yep. Yeah, it is. Because at this juncture, being somebody who is 53 and been established enough, and there's a level of comfortability that I'm allowed.
Right.
I feel like I have that sense of confidence in that I'm okay regardless of what I do. Even if, like, projects that I do and I can look at them and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's like so many things that are wrong with that piece. So it's like, I guess with that wisdom and that sense of aging in a way in this art life,
right,
I feel like a level of comfort, and I do tell that, like, to kind of talk to about my students. I have to say that, like, I have to be honest, like, I can be confident in my ability because I'm at this juncture of my life and my career where I'm at peace at where I'm at. So right. I don't believe the old me would have felt that way.
Exactly.
And but I guess that's what we get: gray hair, we get wrinkles, we get all of these things. But at the same time, we gain that wisdom. 100%. Yeah, that's like, we earn everything. We earn that right of that sense of confidence in, like, leaning into those what would be mistakes, right, or just things that just may not work in your mind, but somebody may love it.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that's important to me.
It's probably a good idea to separate, like, we're talking about artistic, quote unquote, mistakes. We're not talking about you get hired by an art director to do a thing. You tell them, yeah, I can do it. You'll get the art by Friday. And then Friday comes and goes. The following week comes and goes. You ghost the art director. They're emailing you frantically. I needed the art last week. Where are you? How come you're not responding to my email? That's a mistake. That's a real mistake. Yep. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about giving yourself the permission to do the thing you want to do. And I say this all the time on the podcast. I say this with illustrators all the time. The more I talk about what illustrators should be focusing on and what shouldn't they be focusing on, it's boiling more and more down to literally 2 things. 2 grooves, if you will. The first groove is, what is it that you want to do? What do you want to do? What kind of subject matter do you want to explore? What stories do you want to tell? What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? What medium do you want to use? What techniques? Who influences you? Once you get settled into that groove, I'm not saying it's like perfect, but it's never perfect. Once you feel like you're comfortable in your own skin artistically, that second groove that intersects with the first groove is, can your body of work attract art directors, editors, agents? It's the commercial groove. What I've found to be the case with a lot of illustrators, and I wonder if students at Syracuse, sort of communicate this to you, is they're so worried about that second groove that they're skipping the first one. And they're trying to settle into the second groove by going against the grain. Like, well, I think art directors and editors like this, so I'm going to do this kind of work because I think that's what they want. That's against the grain, man. Like, go with the grain. Focus on yourself. Let them come to you.
Right.
Where are you with respect to like helping those illustrators like find that vision while still maintaining an understanding of like of the industry, the market that they're trying to get into? Although I hate the word market.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's a loaded question.
I tend to do that. I'm really sorry. Don't worry. I'll ask you what your favorite color is in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's purple.
Green.
Yeah, I think talking to like young people and really getting them to kind of figure out what that first group, you know, what is it you want to do and what media and what techniques. It's like I'm always preaching visual voice. Like, what's your voice? Because I always feel like the voice is from the heart. And I think if you sit there and you listen to your voice, the innermost depths of who you are, and see what does that have to say? Where is that? And where do you want that to show? And how do you want it to show? That visual voice is, to me, it's so important to kind of figure that out. That's why I always try to refrain from saying style, because I always say your voice, because I think style is more in the head. Yes.
No, please continue talking. I say this all the time to people, and I'm glad when other people say it, because I sometimes think I'm going crazy. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe style is a great word. No, it's a sucky word.
No. It is. It is. I think it's a confining word.
Yes, thank you.
It's like it's a 4-letter word, even though it's 5, and I think it really limits you, because you style. I gotta find my style, this style, and it's like so. It's like an easy crutch to fall back on to say style. Once I find my style, I'm like, no, because if you find the quote style, your head is still in the wrong place.
Exactly.
For me, it's like your voice. What is the most inner depths of who you are, what you want, what colors you like, the media that you want to use, who influences you, who influenced them, what do you want to say?
Yeah.
Like, it's not about like style, it's about the voice, about my spirit, about how I want to create. And what means the most to me. You know, I'm doing a lot of African American. My career is primarily African American theme, the thematic tone to it. Early in my career was more historical. I got burnt out from that. I got pigeonholed into that, and I was just like, I cannot, because when you do this kind of stuff, you research some of the worst things imaginable in the historical context to tell a beautiful story. I wanted to do like life. I wanted to be very contemporary, and those are the things that spoke to my voice. I wanted saturation of color. I wanted texture. I wanted to look at the Mark Englishes of the world and see how they did it, and looking at Sano and seeing those rich textures and the light that emanates from their work. That was my voice.
100% with you, word for word. Just to play a little devil's advocate here, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the listener. I can hear an argument against, like, well, it's easy for you to say, like, voice? I don't know what the fuck my voice is. How am I supposed to know what my voice is? I paint. Is that a voice? Is that enough? So it's easy to say voice, better that than style. But what if someone's listening and hearing you and nodding and agreeing, but not knowing, okay, I hear you. Now what should I be doing next when it comes to finding what my voice is?
It's a starting point. You know, to kind of really at least get out of that 4-letter word, which is style, and to get thinking in a way that's not as superficial, and try to dig a little bit deeper into who you are, be a little bit more introspective, because I think that's something that helped me get out of the rigidity and the sense of being stale or lost. And I think that's something, as an illustrator, and as an educator, that I really try to live as much as I preach.
And it's never going to be perfect either. It's funny, I was talking to somebody, this is a true story, I'm not making this up, this was today. I did talk to someone today about this. an illustrator shared with me how tight she feels with her work, how she's not feeling like she's giving herself the room and the permission to just kind of do the things she wants to do. And there's always that sense of like judgment based on what other people are doing. We were looking at some other people's work, and you can hear the responses like, oh my God, look how good that looks. Oh, look at that. Look at this. I was like, yeah, it's good, but this isn't comparison time. Yes, this is good. What do you like about this? I mean, that's maybe another way of finding your voice, is just to sort of reflect on what is it that I like about other work, not just contemporary illustrators or artists, but throughout history. Anyway, point is, no, it's never going to be perfect. And it doesn't have to be. Like, there's no right way. There's no one way to be an illustrator. There are multiple directions one can take to get at whatever it is that they're trying to get at.
It's always the tenacity.
Yes.
I really believe it's the tenacity to really want it. Yeah. We've probably been in school, in art school, wherever we're at during our creative journeys. You've been around the ones that are just like, they're going to be stars. They're the ones doing all of the great work in school. Their assignments are amazing. They're getting great opportunities and all these types of things. But maybe they don't have the tenacity. Like, if it comes easy and they're the big fish in this little pond of school, will that translate into success? Who was it? I forgot the quote. It's like, something about you don't know you're into a fight until you get punched in the face. And
Is that Mike Tyson?
Yeah, I think so. Until you get hit. And I think that's like, for me, I've gotten plenty of hits and I just keep going. And then it's, you're lucky enough because you're not in this alone, and people give you opportunities. They see you get favor from others because they see your tenacity and they know that you want it. Yeah. That's another thing that should not be underestimated, is the tenacity, because in this creative field, man, you got to have the thickest skin, and you also got to have a strong heart.
Oh, yeah.
To really navigate and operate in a field that it only takes a good 6 to 9 months of not doing anything to be an afterthought.
Or hell, even a couple of weeks or a couple of rejections to go from I can do this to I can't do this. Yep. Yeah, and the struggle is real. It's like I could go through a stretch of just sit here sketching in my sketchbook, and I can draw any hand, I can draw any face, or it's just coming to me. And then the next morning I come up with that same confidence, and I sit down and I start sketching, and I'm like, what is this? Why is this? Why can I not? Why are my proportions messed up? Why? Yeah. But the thing is, like, you push through it. Yes.
And just keep going. Because then I always say, like, for me, it's like you get a good night's rest. You come back the next day and you look at it and you realize, oh, it's not that bad.
Exactly. It never really is. It never is. Dude, that's why I honestly don't draw. I love drawing. I love painting. I love talking about it. I love doing it. I don't do it every day because of that very reason. I'm waking up and sitting down with my sketchbook for a couple of minutes just to do some little drawing. And I don't know if that day is the day where I can draw a hand or I can't. Yes, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
It's so true.
Because it's so a place of harm. It's like, why are we intentionally walking into a maelstrom of doubt and negative thoughts and bad self-talk and all these things when I can just, I don't know, scroll on Instagram for 10 minutes and then go to my next meeting. I mean, that's basically, if I'm being, this is honest hour. I mean, that's essentially how I'm approaching it. I know it's not great. I could be better at it. But honestly, I mean, the thing about getting old and gray and stuff is, and doing all of this, and the whole point of all of this in my mind is that tenacity, the perseverance, the, I don't know, doggedness, whatever you need to get to that place where you wake up in the morning and instead of the first thing you do in the morning is sigh like, oh God, to how you can get from one side to the next, whatever you need. I promise you, as you get older and as you gain that wisdom and you get a couple accolades under your belt, you will go from to it will happen. You just have to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. 100% agree. Yeah. It's all about it is. I don't know how much more I can agree with you. It's like we're kindred spirits here. For me, I can't help but get up in the morning and doodle, even if it's good, bad, or otherwise.
Right.
Because I love it so much.
Exactly.
You know, maybe it's like sometimes I will pick up a ballpoint pen and draw with it, like I'm doing right now as we're talking. Mm-hmm. Just grab a palette knife and just get some like colors and just start laying them down, or putting a brayer over it, going over it with ink, going on top, adding paper. That could be like a morning. Maybe it's just getting online and just doing some fast sketching of models.
Yeah.
I always know when I'm not sketching enough in the morning, just to kind of shake myself, like as if I was brushing my teeth, as important as I brush my teeth in the morning and have a cup of coffee or a cup of water or anything, as I got to do something, because I know if I don't, and this happened to me during my first year of full-time teaching, when I was like too busy, I can't draw, and I realized after about 2 weeks, I started to kind of I started to feel like a chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or otherwise, I just need to do this. Do you ever remember the movie An Officer and a Gentleman?
Of course. You and I are basically the same age, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so towards the end of the movie, where, Louis Gossett Jr.'s character is like, they're out in the rain and he's trying to break them. And he's like, quit. And he just finally is like, why don't you quit? And he just, Richard Gere's character just kind of just blurts out, because I can't.
Right.
I don't know where else to go.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's the way it is. It's like the sense of like, there's nothing else that I can do. I've done many of a job here, and this is the thing that really keeps me whole. I have to at least do something, find a way to figure it out, because it's only going to help my voice. And really, I will say this, I am very thankful for my journey, because it's taken me so long, especially in this part where I'm finally getting the success that I desired, and I also am getting the projects that I love. I always wanted to do poetry based books, and now I'm doing that's a lot of what I'm getting is poetry. Right. So it's like I'm living my dream, and I'm being the truest representation of myself. It takes a long time.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it only took you 3 decades or so, and one moment where you thought creativity was no longer in the cards, and going back to school and all of these things. I mean, by the way, the Mike Tyson quote, you got it 78% correct. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yes, that's it.
It's a great quote. I had in 2018, like a year and a half later, I had a plan, and then depression punched me in the face, and it was not pretty. Stick-to-itiveness is something that I talk about all the time on the podcast. It's true. I mean, you and I haven't spoken at all until this recording. I'm so glad to hear you say the things that I share with illustrators, because all of it is true. There is going to be ambiguity and doubt and confusion and all these things, but certainly there's plenty of information out there in the world. Some of it comes from me. Some of it comes from other educators like yourself, resources. You can find the answers to the questions that you're looking for. If it doesn't quite work out, if you get punched in the face, don't worry about it. Just come up with another plan.
Man, the ups and downs throughout my career, I started pretty much in the early 90s. I transferred to Syracuse University in 95, and that's where I met faculty there.
Was Murray Tinkelman one of your professors?
Yes, oh goodness, yes, and his mask project, and I will never forget Murray terrifying.
Very
of
terrifying.
Murray.
Did he shit on art directors?
Yeah, and he always hated paint. He hated oils. He was like, it's like painting with snot, and he just didn't get it. And
We all can't be great pen and ink artists like you, Murray. All right.
right. And he's just like an encyclopedia of knowledge. But he had I appreciated what he brought in that he was like a time machine in a way, because he was from a different era.
Right.
So you get a sneak peek of what art was like. It almost has that Mad Men feel to it, of art and community of illustrators. So it was great.
Yeah.
And going through the motions and stopping and going and raising a family and trying to be a good husband and trying to be a good dad and also trying to be a good student and learn. When I reflect on this journey of walking away, being someone who wanted this really bad and really wanted to make sure that I was taking care of those that I was entrusted to take care of, meaning family, and being also taking care of this craft that I really was loving. It's for me, it's like knowing that, let's see how I can say this in a way. When I reflect on my career, when I reflect on my journey, and to get to where I am in this level of confidence and comfortability, it was not without the obstacles, the barriers that could hinder and push a lot of people away. And I'm so grateful for everything that when I used to load planes at Delta Airlines in all manner of weather, working as a parking attendant and doing my first few books in a parking booth, surrounded by cars and people wanting to go to and from the campus, and busting my butt that I have to do when life starts lifing and it starts to erode at not just your creative side, but it starts to erode at the mental health side.
Oh, yeah.
I think when I told you about 2017, when things were falling apart creatively, it was, on a personal note, it was like my personal life was falling apart. So the marriage that I was in was disintegrating. I was as an adjunct teacher at a college that I used to drive 2.5 hours to Buffalo. Great, I loved it. There was a full-time job there potentially. So when my marriage fell apart, pretty much in late 2017 to going into 2018, I was living in my mother's basement, barely any money, being an adjunct. I pulled away from my illustration career, told my agent, I was like, I need to figure this out. So I had a daughter, she's in college, and making sure to be strong for her.
Right.
And I was the lead candidate for this position. And I thought, like, this is my opportunity. I can go teach. I can at least get some semblance of hope.
Right.
Because I don't know where I'm going to go with this illustration. I don't know what it's going to, life.
Right.
So it was like in spring of 2018, interviewed for the job. There was only one other candidate, but they were like, you are a strong candidate because you've been here 3 years.
Yep.
The only thing that was a negative is you didn't have your master's. But they said, well, you can at least, if you get hired, you can get the job.
Yep.
And then you can get your master's as you go. I was like, great. So I interviewed, and I'll just never forget, the semester ended, and it was around a little bit like a week after Mother's Day weekend. And I never forget, because my mother was sick. I can hear her coughing from the basement. And I knew she was in bad shape, and her health is declining. And I'm just like, oh.
She passed a year later, right?
Yeah, she passed in 2019. She passed, and I'll get to that in a second, because this is where things.
Right.
So for me, when it was like that like May area, and I was waiting for that job because I was like, I got to get out of here. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of her basement. I need to not be working, loading airplanes. I'm going nowhere. And my marriage, and I just feel like this is my lifeline. So I banked everything on that. And then I'll never forget when I woke up and I looked at my email and I saw the letter from the school, and they were like basically saying, thank you for applying, but you did not get the job. And I just remember I was crushed.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, now I got to make a plan. And when I'm talking about a plan, I was thinking of an exit plan. And it was the closest that I ever came that I was like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it.
Yep.
This is where I'm going to go. This is how I just have to figure out how I can make sure that the pain that is going to be inflicted upon the ones that I care, my daughter and some friends and stuff like that. Yes.
London, you and me both, brother.
Yeah.
100%.
So I never forget, I was there and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go.
Yep.
I'm going to do this.
Yep.
I got ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, one of the first people that I texted was James Ransome. Mm-hmm. He's never heard this. I said, okay, because he was trying to get me to go to grad school.
Yep.
Because he was the grad coordinator. And he was like...
I visited his class at Syracuse once.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you probably saw each other.
Oh yeah, yeah. I spoke to his class when I was an art director. This was years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome. But the thing is, I reached out to him and I said thank you. I said, like, I really appreciate everything that you've done for me. Mm-hmm. It was like a goodbye because he was one of the first people I wanted to thank because he was so instrumental in my career. And me as a man, as a dad, as an illustrator, everything. James Ransome to me, it was the blueprint. So he was the first person, and I'll never forget because he was just like, let me just email you back. And all of a sudden he emailed me back. I don't know how long it was. And he goes, congratulations, you've been accepted into art grad school. And I was like, huh? And he goes, you're in. And I was like, that right there.
What a win.
I was like, okay, that's hope.
Yep.
I was like, okay, so now he goes, but the only thing is you got to wait until this, like the fall of 2019 to go. You can't go this year. It's too late to start.
Yep.
So then that just offered me hope.
Yeah.
What I was planning faded away.
Yeah.
And now I was like, okay, I felt like a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Which, again, living with my mother, she was dying. She was an alcoholic, and she was drinking herself to death. I was helpless to it. I couldn't do anything. The only thing I did for her, I kept buying the alcohol because that's what she wanted me to do. And I knew it was killing her. And here I am. I'm contributing to her own demise. Wow. Then when she passed in the beginning of 2019, I was accepted into grad school. Then I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to do this. I think I was just going to go be a parking attendant or go find a job and just fade away to the existence and just be done with this art and just live. And again, who did I reach out to thank? James Ransome. And next thing you know, he was like, he basically in the middle of a parking lot just yelled at me saying, you can't, you're a good artist and this and you can't, you should, yeah, thank you. And he just went up and down me then he was just like, okay, so what is your decision after going up and down? And I just had to sit there and like think. And it's like these movie settings where like you can hear the wind blow and everything around me in the middle of a parking lot. And I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Yep.
And he's like, great. And he just hung up the phone. Without him, I can't thank that man enough. So that mental health side, when you talk about that, like, that stuff is real.
Oh yeah, that's why I talk about it.
Yeah,
it is vital. I hear it all the time. I hear it on a daily basis. This is true. I spoke with someone today, and all I said to them was, and I swear to God, every word of this is true. All I said to this illustrator was, "You do really good work. You should know that." And she started crying because we do work as illustrators, as creative people, often by ourselves. We don't know what's right or wrong. We don't know if we're taking a left turn instead of a right, or if it's a mistake or not. And it's hard to know where we sit among a group of our peers. We don't know how our work is being received. Often we're wrong about how we think our work is received. We often feel like it's not received very well at all. Especially after you get a couple of rejections. And that just confirms your brain is telling you, like, well, see, told you, you suck. When the reality is you you, London, and me, and every listener, the fact is there is at least a few people, if not more, who love your work, who love that you are around, who couldn't imagine a life without both you and your work. More importantly, you. And that's why I talk about this. That's why I talk about mental health all the time, man. I was there. I was absolutely at the bottom. I was minutes away. Sat there on a bench on the Bay Ridge Promenade, just crying, not crying, crying, not crying. And it's been literally up ever since. And that was January of 2018. For anyone listening who's feeling it, whether it's that extreme or not, or just, it's a heavy burden, whatever's causing it, especially nowadays, it feels like everything's just, I don't know if I'm saying this word correctly, exacerbated for various reasons, politically, socially, economically, environmentally. I mean, there's just a lot of weight that we're all carrying, and especially artists. Yeah. Tends to, whatever weight everyone else is carrying, it feels like it's a weight and a half for us because we're feeling it a little harder. But you find that hope. You find cracks in the fog. You find what it is that does bring you joy, even if it's momentarily. Exactly. Yeah. No. It is. The thing that always would get me through, and that was a powerful story. Thank you for sharing that. My thing was always like, just get to sleep. Just lay down, rest. It was like the one thing that I would always, even sense, like when I'm feeling any types of reservations and doubts about what I'm doing and the quality of work, the abundance of work, which is a blessing. It's like you should not be complaining about that. But the thing is that it's hard, because even when you get your cup runneth over, it's hard. Like, it was 2 years ago. I did a stretch where I did 4 books, 3 of them in 1 year, and they were back to back to back. So it was like every day. This is before I got a full-time gig of teaching, and I had done My Hair as a Book, and I did the Merle Voice of Hope, and then I did When I Hear Spirituals, and then the Gathering Table, and here I am. I'm just getting up at 4 in the morning and working as much as possible, staying within the house. And sacrificing, and it's like it just erodes at you because you become a victim of your success. Yes, a lot of people, and I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful for it, and I worked hard, and I asked for it, and I got it. But it doesn't mean that there's not those foundational cracks of the mental health as well with that, because now it becomes, you are a prisoner. And then the thing that you become, not just the prisoner of the fatigue, because we are always on. I tell this to my partner. I was like, the lucky thing about you, when you punch out of work, you're done. My thing is, I'm in this house working. I work from my house in a basement, so that means I go upstairs. If she comes home from work and we have quality time. But at those moments where we're quiet with each other, I'm thinking about, okay, here's what I gotta do. I gotta do this for tomorrow. I gotta get up. I'm gonna get up at 4 in the morning, and I gotta do this. And did the art director get my email? How come I haven't received word yet? Did they approve my sketches?
Amen to that. And it's like, and I was doing a lot of editorial work, and I was doing book covers, so it was like spinning plates. Yeah. And the cracks come in where you're like, I got to get out of this place. Yeah. And then but
a breather.
Yeah.
Always.
Yes. But the thing is, being more fortified in my experiences of the lows, I'm like, it's not that bad.
No,
it's just art,
dude. Oh my God. I mean, that is not to say that it's like, I've said this to people before. I might have even said it on the podcast before. I hate it. Well, I hated it. I don't hate it anymore. The older I get, the less I hate stuff. But back in the day, when I was feeling what I was feeling, there were people who were telling me, well, everything happens for a reason. Dude, I'm literally feeling a swell of hatred right now as I just heard me say that. Everything happens for a reason. Are you kidding me? Like, this was supposed to happen? It wasn't supposed to happen. It happens for a reason. What fucking reason are you talking about? This might ruin my family. This might ruin me. It might end me. It happens for a reason. Oh, dude, that one was like a. But now, I will concede that I don't want that was. I still don't agree with it. I still don't agree that everything happens for a reason. I think that's bullshit. However, the perspective gained. Right now, I'm speaking very specifically to a section of listeners who either have had or currently have depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation. That group of folks, I promise you, it gets better, which is another thing I hated when people said that to me. Oh, it's going to get better. How the fuck do you know that? They were right. It's true. It gets better. And also the perspective you gain, like the life on the other side of this is actually quite freeing.
No, it is. And you're thankful for that experience, because when you do come across like things that really bring a sense of fear, doubt, overwhelmingness, there's like a sense of like it's not as bad as you think.
Nope.
It's not, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be
Me too.
doing
I'm
this.
happy you're here.
Thank you.
Of course.
You as well.
This podcast is produced by the Illustration Department, a global leader in online education for illustrators. Visit illustrationdept.com for offerings like mentorships and portfolio reviews, testimonials, our alumni showcase, our best-selling Substack, and more. That's illustrationdept.com. And now, back to our conversation. What I appreciate about you and your work is that you represent what I often say to illustrators, and that is you do not need to pigeonhole yourself or put yourself into this little box of like, I only work this one way. You go representational, like pretty representational. Pretty straightforward, like here's what kids look like, this is what grass looks like, here's what a tree looks like. But then when you go over to other areas of exploration, you've got this much more abstract, more exploratory direction with what it is that you're doing. There's a piece that you did back in June, like a dude playing a stand-up bass. There's like an orange background. There's this like pink sort of swath of a paintbrush stroke down the center of it. Fucking beautiful.
Oh
my God.
Thank you.
See, this I curse. If people don't want to listen to curses on an illustration podcast, there are a few others out there that are, more G. I'm just not G.
I appreciate. I'm really honored.
It's true.
That means a lot, especially because I know you talk to a lot, the who's who of in this industry. So to hear that,
Dude,
I'm moved.
100% true. I might be a little biased because one of my favorite illustrators is Romare Bearden. He was. Are you familiar with Romare Bearden's work?
Yes.
I mean,
he's the foundational guy in my rebirth. Yes,
100%. I mean, abstract stuff, and I was a collage artist, a collage illustrator back in the day, and one of my teachers brought me onto Romare. He's like, you should look up Romare Bearden. I'm like, okay. Changed my freaking world, dude. Of course, right? And so like Romare Bearden has got that like some figurative stuff in there. He experiments. He's obviously like much of his work speaks to the Black experience. His like pieces where he's showing like musicians. Oh my God, it just like freaking melt. Anyway, his stuff is amazing. Ezra Jack Keats' Snowy Day. Look at that book again. So much abstraction and collage and experimentation, and he like slaps stuff onto these pages, these illustrations that maybe at first glance you wouldn't quite notice, but then when you look at it again, I mean, there's so much experimentation, gluing and ripping, and that's my like personal favorite sort of style, is that loose mixed media stuff. So you do that, and that's probably why I like your work so much.
Yeah, I just pulled out. I got Keats' Neighborhood. It's this book of like a bunch of his book of work.
Yeah.
It's forwarded by Jerry Pinkney. So I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it's a foundation. Yeah. I could push it even further. I desire to push even further.
Right.
Because I still think I get conservative. Like there's times where I'm like, I'm working on a couple books now where I'm really trying to push the envelope, like that piece that you were talking about of the bass player. That's a sketchbook piece.
Oh
that was
God,
just something that I just sit in my sketchbook and I just, what am I feeling? Because the one thing about that piece is I used to mock jazz. Like I was not a jazz fan.
Gotcha.
But then I had like an illustrator friend, Keith Henry Brown.
Oh yeah, I've had Keith on the podcast.
Yeah.
What's up, Keith?
Yeah, Keith. I just saw him at Chappaqua this past weekend. But I just had to thank him because I was like, I didn't understand jazz, the beauty of jazz, until I saw your work. When I looked at your posts and I see the spirit of that music just emits from your work. So I had to sit and I would just listen to jazz. And I'm a very novice person to jazz. Just sitting and slapping colors and seeing and understanding and feeling that sense, especially the bass. I love that instrument because it's like a dance.
Oh yeah.
Between the musician and that particular instrument that I just find so fascinating. You know, talking to him, and he was like, yeah, you need to go listen to John Coltrane, the album. And he was like, go to Miles Davis and go to these two. He's like, do these two particular albums. Because I was like, I would love to do a book that's kind of a jazzy book.
Yeah.
Like, because now I can understand it some and appreciate what the value of it.
Was it Miles Davis Kind of Blue, and I think Coltrane?
Yes.
Was it ballads?
Yeah.
Was it ballads by Coltrane?
No, I wrote it down in my sketchbook. Hold on.
Or is it,
go into my
what's
sketchbook.
that one called? Blue Train?
It was My Favorite Things.
Oh, God.
I think it's what it says.
I play that on
my
repeat.
Favorite.
Like right around December 1st, I play that album on repeat every single day. It's such a great like holiday. There's a song by Bill Evans called Peace, Peace. That song is this. I already told my family when you guys are at my viewing, this is the song I want played. It is the most beautiful song, jazz or otherwise, I have ever heard. Wow. I gotta say, London, I had none of this in my notes. I've not even gotten to your work, barely got to your work, barely got to your methods, your influences. I'm really curious to hear about that. I've asked you 2 questions that were in my notes.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. We had a real conversation. This isn't like
exactly. That's what I'm talking about, man. Hey, man. All right. So let's do a little speed round. Ready?
Okay.
What's your favorite color? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, purple. You already know what purple.
Yeah, it's purple. Mine's green, which I guess combined is the color of villains in most comic books.
Yeah, that's right.
What does that say about us?
I know, right?
I hope not.
It's good things.
I hope not much. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. I mean, I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
You want any influences or anything?
Well, I mean, I don't want to take up. Do you have shit to do?
I always got stuff to do, but let's do it. All right. I'm cool with it.
All right. I want to wrap it up with one question I have here. So, speaking of Keith Henry Brown, like I've had Keith on the podcast. I've had Gregory Christie on. I didn't have Jerry on. Sadly, it was gonna happen, and then he passed. However, I have done research on him. I've read up on Jerry. I had Ashley Bryan on the podcast. He's amazing, or he was amazing. He's still amazing. Rest in peace, Ashley. The common denominator with a lot of them, especially with Ashley and Jerry, and a little bit with like black artists who came up through the 90s, they found friction. They found those obstacles that you were referring to earlier. I don't know if you were specifically referring to this particular obstacle, but did you ever find pushback because of the fact that you were black?
That's a good question. That's a really tough question for me because
maybe not that you know of.
Yeah, because the thing is, being somebody who is, this is the one thing about me. I'm biracial. My mother, she's white. Dad is African American. Okay. Never met the guy. So the thing is, because I was raised by her, and the way that I talk and the way that I look, the way that I speak, for me, I always felt like as I was not black enough.
Okay.
I know that there were obstacles that were there, And I was ignorant to really fully understand it, because I really felt like being raised by my mother, and she shielded me from a lot of like racial stuff. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really aware of like any type of resistance.
Right.
It always would like I would be late to it. Then I would realize, wait, that was kind of messed up.
Yeah.
The way that I approach who I am in my identity, because I identify as a black man. Mm-hmm. I did a thesis on it, on black representation. Mm-hmm. Some of the elements of the subject matter that I touch upon, I think, can have problems. You know, I think especially in this current administration, like if you do, because in the spirituals book, obviously there's like slavery in there. There's like civil rights. There's like certain like things like that. Mm-hmm. But in the startup of my career, I don't, and this is probably going to I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I would not know, because I was so oblivious to it. I was so focused.
Right. Well, I wonder if the answer is sort of like what Henry Cole said in a previous episode. I asked him about the fact that he illustrated a book about two male penguins raising a baby penguin. And so, of course, you know, God forbid we have that in our libraries, in our schools. It gets banned by the, you know, anti-gay, anti-LGBTQIA folks. And I asked him, do you think that affected your career at all? And he said, well, I really wouldn't know. I'd need a parallel universe to sort of like compare which schools did I not get invited to because I had illustrated that book. So maybe that's where the answer sort of sits, is like, how would you know? Because you didn't know what you didn't get.
Right. Exactly.
At a time when think in publishing it wasn't like, we're not talking about the 60s here, but it was still, even in the 90s, publishing at large, I think this is fair to say, wasn't as locked into and in tune with the fact that a lot of the books that were getting published had white characters, were done by white creators, and so on.
That's the one thing I do remember, is because I created my own pigeonhole of doing mostly historical stuff. Again, my first 10 years was a lot of, you know, the book on Martin Luther King, and about Oprah's childhood, and about the Emancipation Oak, and slave era books with Douglas. So I really put myself in a sense of, this is what I want to do. And then when you do stuff like that, you realize, okay, you can only go so many times to this well for a variety of reasons. You're not growing because you're not expanding into other areas.
But you were getting that stuff because you had done that stuff.
Yes.
See, it's like the blame is not entirely doesn't sit entirely on your shoulders. Like, you started off that way with the civil. I heard you say in another interview that you called it the civils, the civil rights, the Civil War. Yeah. Which I love. I can't believe I've never heard anyone refer to it that way. The civils, and so like you started off doing that stuff, and then people started hiring you because you had done it already, which is, you know, that's so publishing. Putting myself, like, there's no way for me to imagine the feeling of this. There's no way for me to feel I'm only being hired to do a book about Amerigo Vespucci because I'm Italian, and I only get books about Italian historical figures, or, you know, whatever, because I'm Italian. There's no way for me to know that. There's no way for me to feel that. And that's not even remotely close to what you've felt and what other black creators have felt over the years, over the decades. But does that bother you? I mean, did it bother you at the time?
Early in my career, no, because I was just happy to be there. Right. Whereas again, that's where it led to my kind of burnout, where I felt like I was like typecasting myself, and then I realized that, like, these stories there's a sense of uplifting, but again, I've done this story. Midnight Teacher, Lillian Granderson, is very similar to Douglas. You know, because it's about slave era. It's about people who, at the heart of it, people who pretty much persevered and learn to read and write, or where one becomes a great orator and does great things for this country, and for anybody, for blacks, slaves, anybody during that time, women's, any type of movement. Whereas the other character was, She was somebody that just taught slaves to read and write and was a teacher, one of the first teachers of the area after, slavery was abolished. So it was like they're very simple. So, but maybe that was just my excuse for the fact that I was not enjoying the research. Getting to the depravity of the research, you learn more and more, and it's hard for me to like do books because I'm a very emotive illustrator. I like to challenge the senses. I don't want to just to see. I want you to hear what's in the painting or the image. I want them to smell or the sounds, the touch. And when you start to do some research that's very heavy and it's awful, then you go to the schools and you got to talk about it in a way, but the research and the story behind this is awful. And you got to look at these beautiful faces and talk about your work and talk about your books, but yet the subject matter is pretty heavy.
Right.
As my mother raised me, I did not know much Black history until my late teens.
Yeah.
Where I didn't understand, because it was mostly about Harriet Tubman, and Martin Luther King all throughout my education primarily. And it wasn't until I understood that there was Black inventors, there was Black painters, there was,
oh my God,
there was Black there was much more depth to this country that for African Americans that contributed to it. And I was like, oh, and I felt like a crusade that I had to tell these stories.
Right.
But then after a while, I was like, okay, I don't want to, I've done my part, and now I want to do something that's very, like, I always say this, like, Black history is as right now as it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 50 years ago. Like, you look at the faces that I see, and they're Black history right in front of me. They have stories to tell. They have contributions. They're just not in the grand scale of some of these historical figures. So to kind of really tell these stories with the most honest, respectful, loving representation is, for me, that's my goal. To see themselves, to see their aunties or their uncles or their brothers or sisters or themselves. I just think that it's, for me, I cannot be any more thankful for the ability to do what I do and to be somebody of color, somebody Black in this country. Yes, there is a lot of resistance. Yes, there could be a lot of things that can weigh you down. There's a lot of things that you're just like, here we go again. But I wouldn't want it any other way, because the Blackness that I am is a part of my tenacity, part of my love for other people, the part of the sense of care and empathy, and the sense of fighting for those other people and standing with them. So these books that I'm doing, if there has been resistance, like I probably have never seen it. I'm just grateful for the ability to really be somebody who's in this industry and who knows, like, the Keith Henry Browns, and I've met Ekua Holmes, I love her work. She is a reason for my change in my perception when her book. So when I meet somebody that to me, that is my person that I revere. Yep. And I'm like, you don't understand what you mean to me.
Yeah, totally. I reached out to her, I can't remember when, ages ago, to be in the podcast. I don't remember what her answer was. Definitely wasn't a yes, because she would have been a guest, but I might reach out to her again and see if she changed her mind. Going back to history, Black history, tying this all back into illustration podcast. Illustration history, I've talked about this on the podcast before. Black illustration history was something that was not taught in college. I went to RISD, not Syracuse. So maybe it wasn't Syracuse. Maybe James was behind it. Maybe there was a wider understanding, because Syracuse has a really deep history, especially with illustration. I guess so does RISD, but whatever. Not until graduate school, not until I met Dennis Dietrich, who's a sort of a disciple of Murray Tinkelman in terms of like the history, understanding the history of illustration. By understanding the history, you can understand the future. Did I start researching illustration history and came across artists like Jackie Ormes or Tom Feelings or Ashley Bryan or I mean, had anyone mentioned Ernie Barnes at RISD when I was a kid who loved sports and art, I would have been all over Ernie Barnes. Benefit of the doubt, I'm not saying they were intentionally not including all of these artists into our conversations, but had they, it would have helped us understand, okay, here's where we're coming from. Here's where we need to go. It probably would have helped professionals going into the 90s, into the 2000s, like, oh, we need to understand who these artists are. They're still alive back then. They could have been hired more. Maybe they weren't in the 70s and 80s, that sort of thing. I mean, there's so much about illustration history. I mean, who was it? Oh, God, his name is going to fall out of my head. I know his first name's Charles. I have to look this up because it's a great quote. His first name is Charles.
Is it Charles White?
No. Charles Alston. Charles Henry Alston. Here's a quote that I think ties into what you were saying. He said, "I don't believe there's such a thing as black art, though there's certainly been a black experience. I've lived it. But it's also an American experience." So that's why I think it's important for us to understand black history, black art history, as it is all of our history. We have to understand what that reality was, what it is, and where we go moving forward. That wasn't his quote. That's me. But that speaks to what Jerry Pinkney said. He was quoted as saying, "I don't want to be seen as a black artist. I just want to be seen as an artist."
Right. I 100% agree. If we have like subject matter that is black themed by choice, or if you would want to do like Jerry did, he did a bunch of Aesop's fables,
right,
and made them his own. Especially in this time, to be a creator of a group, or maybe a marginalized group of the past, you have so many opportunities, not just from the illustration side, but the writing side. And I think that's the one thing that I really am more appreciative now, is the fact that there are more black authors who are getting chances, young, old, of all walks of life, that are telling these stories that like the books that I've done over the past 5 years, outside of Cheryl Hudson, I think all of them are like first or second or like their third book. They're young voices. And I'm like, wow. I was with Antoine Eady, author of The Gathering Table. We were at the book festival, and I was telling him, I was like, you are the now and the future, and it's in good places. It's in good hands, and I'm so thankful for you. I'm glad that I got to work with you. Is me as in my generation, who is older than you, but I get to tell your story. Your story is beautiful. You educated me on the Gullah Geechee culture, and like Laura Abobi with Black Gold, and I'm doing another one, Black Is, with her, and I get to tell her stories, and like these are refreshing stories for creators of color. And I'm so thankful, because again, what we're living in with black, not just black, but you got Latino, gay. There is room for everything, different religions. I was at the book festival, and I'm just grabbing books, because I'm like, these are just, regardless of if it's a book that's for a specific group, it's a beautiful book. And I'm not lying to you, I spent $280 on books, and that was with a 20% discount.
That's so funny. I could just see like the following business day, the publishing companies are like, we're experiencing a spike in sales on these books. What's going on? Someone's like, oh, that's just London. Just London, guys.
Yep. I will put it on the credit card, and I will think about it later. Because I just love it. And I just think that when you share it with others, it's a beautiful thing.
100%.
Moving forward, it's exciting to see where this is going to evolve even more.
Definitely.
And I just want to make sure that I can do my part in any way as somebody did for me, as James did for me.
You've been doing it, and you're going to continue to do it. You're going to be the James for somebody else, for sure.
I hope so.
I'm not saying that in a way that like James is gone. He's still obviously around. Still winning awards left and right.
I know, right? Yeah, he's my competition.
Dude, leave some for the rest of us, why don't you? Keeping, all these illustrators in mind, wherever they are, whatever group they're a part of, however they feel mentally, whatever it is that they want to be doing moving forward. What one piece of insight or advice or word of wisdom would you like to share with them, from you to them?
Oh, goodness. I could be cliche and say don't give up, but that's the most cliche thing that I could say, because it's like so simple. It's like you just don't give up.
Yep.
I
second it.
That's the only thing I can really say is like you don't give up. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be, it could pertain to anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up on friends. Don't give up on what you want in life. Don't give up on those who may need you. Just don't give up. Because you are valued, you are seen, and you're loved, and you bring so much to those in and around you, and not just for the now, but for the future. Whether it's next week, next year, or next decade.
To learn more about London, visit londonlad.com. If you find value in this podcast, you can support it by subscribing to my best-selling Substack. For $5 a month or $50 a year, you will access hundreds of articles on the art, practice, and history of illustration, unlock bonus podcast episodes called Extra Credit, and connect with other members of the ID community. Join me on Substack by visiting illustrationdept.substack.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.